everybody. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Danae. You doing all right today?
I am.
I thought so.
I thought I'd start with a little song this morning, though. I mean, come on. That's what everybody expects, right?
Hey, what is it today? What's today's song?
And we'll have fun, fun, fun till the daddy took the T-bird away.
You're talking my kind of music now. You're going back.
Good at this,
you're going back a ways. I'm gonna say the younger listeners probably don't know that one, but I love that one.
Girls and guys just want to have fun.
Well, that's a little more recent.
So what do you think?
Little Cyndi Lauper.
What do you think we're talking about?
Fun.
Fun.
Your middle name.
My native language.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, spoken like a true 7.
Yep.
But guess what? I have found out that what I think of as fun is not actually what everybody else thinks of as fun sometimes. Can you believe that?
An Enneagram discovery, which is the point of these podcasts.
That is the point. We are going to talk about our native languages and how sometimes this language barrier becomes a real source of conflict.
Yep.
So, what is the definition of fun? I looked it up in the dictionary, actually, just so we would know. And it actually says lighthearted pleasure. So there, we're just going to have that in our mind as we go on and talk about
lighthearted pleasure.
What I think of as fun.
That just doesn't sound heavy enough. Lighthearted pleasure. That sounds too simplistic.
Well,
but anyway.
You can have big fun or small fun.
Okay.
But did you know that I have a daughter? You know we have a daughter.
Yes, I did know that.
The people there don't know.
This was pre-rehearsed, and I do know it.
But when she was about 17 or 18, I can't remember exactly, she managed a store called Fossil. They were in the mall back in the day. They still have cool watches and stuff. But she would get so excited because she actually took pleasure in, are you ready? Inventory.
Oh, yes.
Inventory.
Yes.
She loves and finds pleasure in organization.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Remember what she asked for Christmas one year?
Oh, yeah. And we got Shay a file cabinet.
File cabinet.
For Christmas.
Because that's what she asked for.
Right.
So that is definitely not my idea of something fun, but she was so excited.
That is funny.
Anyway, I asked a group of people on Facebook what they considered fun.
Yep.
And I want to talk about one girl that gave an answer. And she said, I'm just going to read I'm going to quote exactly what she said.
Okay.
She said, for me, fun is reading, sitting in quiet, or me time, napping, or going out to eat. But then she said, I've always struggled with not feeling fun enough. So doing activities like exploring, drinking, etc. just make me feel like, and this is the point, I'm not being authentic to myself.
Wow.
Yeah. So keep that in mind as I share with you how I almost became the death of my own party.
You know, that's just so interesting to me, that quote, because a couple things, when you said that, a couple things just jumped out. First of all, I was thinking some of the things that Emily liked were things that were very much personal, introspective, and things that you would do alone, like sitting in quiet, reading, me time, napping. However, the last thing that was mentioned was going out to eat.
Right.
Now, going out to eat is something that if you and I were friends with Emily and we were trying to speak that language, that's one area where we could connect with Emily, because going out to eat's pretty universal for most people. Now, it's not for everyone. There's someone in my family, and I won't name him because I don't want to embarrass my dad. Going out to eat, torture. Nightmare.
It's torture.
But no, when you read that, Danae, I was just thinking to myself a couple things. One is that there are always going to be areas where people are going to consider them, something to be fun. And there may be other things about them that are not going to be what I consider to be fun. But I think what you're going to get at is that's only a problem if I make it a problem.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to talk about. This, I'm going to call a language barrier. I know we've used that phrase before, but let's just go on and see how we can learn each other's languages while not giving up our own.
Okay.
So do you remember my 59th birthday party?
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday. Oh, no, that's not true.
Yeah, that's right. It was. How could I not remember it? It's so fresh in my memory because because you're not that much further past it. So for me as a man, it's good to bring up things that are in our recent memory, and that we probably do remember, rather than to embarrass us by asking, "Do you remember what I wore on our first anniversary," or something like that?
Or like a long time ago, I said, do you remember the wallpaper we used to have in our bathroom?
Gosh.
And you said we had wallpaper in our bathroom.
Exactly. I didn't remember.
Okay.
That's a different thing. That's prioritizing. So you were all about, I don't want anybody to feel pressured to throw me a party, blah, 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 blah. And I knew all along what your concern was. Your concern was that I would not come up or design a party that would have all the kinds of, like, you love to play games, and and I think your concern was, I don't want to pressure. You were really thinking, hey, if somebody does give me a party, make sure it's got a lot of stuff in it that I consider to be fun.
Honestly, I didn't want anybody to feel pressured. I thought, you know what? Okay. I wanted to play games.
Yes.
A lot of people are game people.
They are.
But come to find out, not everyone loves the games that I might love. So let me give you this example, because if you've ever watched Ellen, she was the first one I ever saw who started playing this game called Speak Out.
Oh.
I think that's what it was. And you have to put this mouthguard in your mouth and then say these phrases. So it's in teams. So you're trying to get your team to guess whatever crazy phrase you're trying to say, and it keeps you from closing your mouth.
Yeah.
So it's a mouth guard. This game is literally designed to be a language barrier.
Right. So you can't understand what the other person's saying, and the more they try to speak correctly, the more difficult it becomes, and they're making a mess of themselves trying to do it.
We look, and
yes,
you do look silly.
Yes.
And so I had this game already, and I said, hey, let's get in teams. And so I started handing out the mouthpieces and saying, so this is what we're going to play. And I really was shocked to discover that some of my guests were like, nope, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, you're going to love it. Let me explain it to you. Let me explain how hilarious it is.
Yeah.
And it was like the more I tried to convince them, the more they seemed to back away. It's like, have you ever seen somebody try to communicate with a deaf person and that person doesn't know sign language?
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think I know where you're going with this.
Sometimes you tend to just speak louder, as if just speaking louder is going to allow the deaf person to understand what you're saying. Well, that's kind of what I was doing with that game. I just was like, no, let me explain how much you're going to love it.
Right. And, I was looking around the room when that was happening, and I was one of the ones that did not want to play that game. I did not want to. You put that mouth guard in, and it pushes your gums all the way back to where all your teeth and your gums are exposed. Well, number one, if you're a person that doesn't necessarily feel like they have a beautiful smile, that's the last thing you want to do is put that on and say, hey, look, I don't look good, do I? And you know what? And then, I looked around. Eric didn't like it. Mike didn't like it. There were those of us that were passing on it. But
Well, it turned out to be hilarious.
It was fun to watch. Now, I observed it, and I thought that was fun as the observer. But, to your point, as a 7, and the things that for you are making up that which is fun, that is a different perspective than the one you read from Emily earlier today. And what you just said was, if I can repeat it correctly, was that when you begin to say, no, you're going to like this too, you actually can create a situation that's not fun and actually becomes uncomfortable for people.
Exactly. And I have to tell you, this was one of those aha moments in my life where I had to step into my wisdom thinking and maturity and go, wait a minute, you really truly almost became the death of your own party. And how I really put people in a situation that caused them so much discomfort. I really felt bad about it. It was actually just a great growth experience for me.
Yeah. Well, again, though, that's where with the Enneagram, what I really like about it is it really, I guess awareness is the word that always comes to mind when I think about the Enneagram. I'm becoming more aware of my perspectives and the way I see everything, and understanding that's just a perspective. And I need, before I jump in and tell someone what they're going to like or not like, or they should like.
Right, they should like.
Yeah. Then I'm more aware of actually trying to observe what is in their world, their universe, so to speak.
Yes. Again, this language barrier. I'll keep saying it.
Yeah.
We need to learn to speak each other's languages.
Yeah.
But speaking of languages, I know you love my chick flicks, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a huge chick flick. Chick flick and the ID investigative channel.
Those are yours. Yes.
I'm the opposite end of the spectrum.
Right. But I don't know if I've mentioned this movie before, but if I did, sorry, I'm going to do it again. Because it's an old movie. I think it's about 10 years old, and I just recently saw it. It's called Love Actually. And anyway, it was a rainy Sunday afternoon, and I think I just was searching to see something good. And so I decided, fine, I've heard so much about it, I'll watch it. But there is a scene in there where Colin Firth, he hires a housekeeper, and she only speaks Portuguese. So like all good romantic comedies, they fall in love despite the language barrier. But she goes back to her home country, and anyway, he takes a class, and he learns to speak her language. So eventually he goes back to her country, and he can communicate with her. And she is so happy and so excited that they can communicate. She can speak part of his language, he can speak part of hers. And there was no indication that you need to give up your language in order to communicate with me. This was all about finding a way to better communicate when they did speak a different language.
So basically, you can love your perspective, you can love your number, but you can also be aware of what others love about their perspective and their number, which means you can love your language, but you can also be aware that there are other languages and that those languages are loved by the people who speak them.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And that's that's such a universal thing that they actually made a successful movie about it. You don't do that unless you've got a theme that's a big deal to people.
Exactly. And it's been in other movies that we could quote too.
Sure.
Actually, I had one in my mind. I made up one. I thought it sounded like a really good movie idea. And so Ryan, my oldest son, who is a screenplay writer, I tried to convince him, you need to write this movie because it would be so, I'm going to use the word funny, but in my mind it was a girl who's going off to Mexico, so she's got her little book with her of phrases. But here's the thing. There are certain words that sound similar, but if you don't know the language, then you can come across by saying the total wrong thing. So I'm going to say this real quickly. The example is, there's a word that in Spanish that's to say embarrassed, but if you don't say it the right way, it also means pregnant. So she goes to Mexico and she's in the airport flipping through a book and she's trying to say something and she's like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. Only the Spanish-speaking people hear it as, oh, I'm pregnant. So
and there you go.
I thought it would sound, Ryan said, no, Mom. No, that may be a good beginning, but no, I'm not writing that movie for you.
Yeah, that reminds me of the Steve Martin. I don't know if it was a movie or whatever. It was talking about the Spanish language, and he said, those Spanish, it's like they have a different word for everything. Yes, that's right. Good observation, Steve.
Yes, we all have different words.
Yeah.
Learning to understand each other. This is the point of this. I know that when we go to the Mexican restaurant that we love to go to.
Oh, yeah. And we could take Emily because she likes to go out to eat.
Yes. Yeah. But I speak just enough Spanish to impress the servers sometimes. But the truth is, when I make an attempt to communicate in their language, honestly, their faces light up.
They do.
And that's not like, oh, look at me, I'm making this grand effort. No, I wish I could speak it fluently, but I love to try to communicate in their language, and they love the fact that I'm going to the effort.
Yeah, they do. It's that effort, and it also shows that you have an appreciation for the thing that they love about themselves.
Exactly. It's not that we want to be heard, but truly we want to be understood.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And in relationships, how many times have we heard that relationships that evolve, let's take marriages, for example. In marriages, things grow apart. Things, you don't like what I like. You go a different direction than I go. You have your world. I have my world. One of the things I like about the Enneagram is that it spurs this kind of a discussion in our relationship. And there are many other examples we can give that go far deeper than this, and I'm sure we'll get to them at some point down the road. But what happens, and what has happened for us, is that the deeper we've gone into the way we react and the way we see things and the perspectives we have has led you and I, Danae, to really stay very close, not because we found a way to be the same, but because of what you're saying here today, we became more aware of the importance of the differences.
Absolutely. I am just using this example of what's fun.
Right.
Truly as just a small example. This is just, the point is exactly what you just said. So we can grow in our understanding of each other.
Yep.
Remember the time I wanted you to go ziplining with me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How did you feel when I asked you, hey, babe, you want a free fall across the...
Well, if you've ever seen the movie What About Bob, and they try to get him to go sailing or whatever, and Bob is like, ooh, no.
Favorite movie, one of my favorites.
Yeah, well, for one thing, I have an aversion to heights. So to dangle out, 100 feet over the ground with a little strap holding this big 6'5" whatever guy zip lining down through there. No, that wasn't my idea of fun. But it on your list, it was, man, that would be a blast.
It was on my bucket list.
Yeah.
And so instead of yelling at you and saying, no, let me explain, talking louder, why it's so much fun, why you're going to love it. No, I knew this was not, but I did ask you.
Yeah.
I knew you wouldn't want to go. I think the Buckeyes were playing that day anyway, but.
Well, that's a different Enneagram problem.
But instead of being offended that you didn't want to go with me, I just said, do you mind if I go? And you were like, absolutely, I don't mind. You go and have fun. It's exactly what you said to me.
Yes. And that's because I was certainly not interested in constraining you in what you could go do and have fun. And the fact that you may have areas of your life that are different than mine, and the fact that you go ziplining and I don't, doesn't mean that suddenly we've lost all our connectivity. It just means you're an individual, and there are places where you are going to have those things that are fun, because fun's what we're using as an example. This could be any conversation, really, that has to do with how we're relating to each other. It wasn't a scary thing, a worrisome thing. It wasn't a, oh my gosh, you won't go ziplining with me, I guess that means you don't love me. Right. That certainly wasn't coming across, because we have so many and continue to have so many other things that we do share in common, and that we made it an effort and a point to find the places where we participate together in something that we both consider to be fun, and yet allow the other to have their space where they can have fun in a certain way.
Right. And yes, not threatened, that you're
right.
not with me 24/7.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Like we're going on a trip this summer.
Going on a trip this summer. And one of the things that a 7 likes, see, I know this as I'm a 9, and we brought this up before, but I know my wife is a 7. One of the things that she likes is, first of all, variety. And that means trying to find trips where we can go places she's never been before. That's number one. But to actually add a little bit of spice to this, because this is one of the things that she and I both consider fun, and that's traveling. Yes. We both consider that's a place where you and I are on the same page. We consider that fun. But the other little thing that I added in there was a surprise. That I have planned for you a surprise on this trip for your birthday in July. I have a surprise planned.
What do you mean? What kind of surprise?
And that just adds to the fun part of a 7's life is a surprise.
You've planned a surprise.
Yes, a surprise. Not just that we're going on the trip, but I've planned a surprise.
Oh my gosh.
That.
Okay.
Yes. And
you're just going to reveal this right here in front of everybody and put me on the spot?
Well, I don't think I'm putting you on the spot, because I don't think finding out you're going to get a surprise on top of all that. I don't think finding out you're going to have a surprise is putting you on the spot. I think you like it.
I do like it. I'm excited.
And there we go. Into podcast.
I'm going to be. I won't be snooping around.
Oh gosh.
I'm so glad you brought this up. This is
yes,
fun.
Yeah.
Because I do love surprises. I love good surprises.
Mm-hmm.
But this is crazy that you brought this up.
Yeah.
Not everybody loves surprises.
Oh no.
I'm excited, but
yeah.
Our son Stephen does not like surprises.
Stephen does not like surprises. Not even at Christmas. It drives him crazy to see gifts under a Christmas tree and not know what those gifts are. And he was the one that was always like, can we just open something Christmas Eve? Can I just open one of those now? Stephen does not like surprises. I was
so terrible as a young mom with these kids because, oh man, now you're just exposing me here, but because I do love surprises, I had this rule, and I said, because they would start guessing or try to find it. Now,
or shake the box.
And I'm like, look, if you guess what it is, you better keep it to yourself, because if I find out you know what it is, I will take it back. Mm-hmm. And I have done that before.
The Santa Claus police.
I'm bad Santa.
That doesn't sound right for somebody that's supposed to be fun, but.
Well, the fun for me was in
the surprise.
In the surprise. And, so remember when Stephen and Kevin, they figured out what one of the gifts was, but they knew that if I knew, I would take it back.
They'd take it back.
So tell them what happened.
So that was the year we got them the video game Zelda.
For Nintendo, I think.
I think it was back in the old days. And so when we went to bed at night, they were teens, and they would slip downstairs, open the box, unwrap it.
Oh, gosh.
very carefully, just on one end, open the box, play Zelda for an hour or two while we're asleep, put it back in the box and rewrap it. And then they pretended to be surprised when Christmas came. And of course, we didn't find this out till years later. When they told us about it.
No, that's not true. There were other things we found out years later, but I think that I know what happened. They were playing the game really well.
Oh, maybe that was it.
And it was like, hey. And they started laughing because they had pulled one over on us.
Yeah, they didn't. But it was all because, really, Stephen didn't like surprises in Kevin's game for anything that involves a video game. So,
or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, we kind of went off track there, but not really, because we really are talking about learning to understand what language the other person speaks.
Yeah.
And we know this. If you have children, I'm not saying you have to know the Enneagram, because the truth is, especially if you have more than one child, you already know they have different personalities. But the more we understand our children's languages, our spouse's languages, then the better we communicate and the better relationship we all can have. And I just happen to think the Enneagram is one of the most effective tools in being able to reveal these.
Yeah, and as these kids grow up, it's just easy as a parent, I think, to send a message out unintentionally that let's take this subject fun. If you do have a kid who is not the outgoing Six Flags, et cetera, play sports or whatever it is, you can send a message that means there's something wrong, because what they love about their perspective, you're beginning to teach them not to love their number. You're beginning to teach them not to love the way they are. And that can have a lot to do with just what you have decided as a father who's a 9 that they should be, or the things they should like, or the perspectives they should have. And that again, sends a message that's the last message that any of us want to send. Whereas when you really make an effort to participate, to find out what the nature of the child is, and to give that child some special attention that connects with that perspective, or the way they want to have fun, or the way they want to fill in the blank, et cetera, then those messages that you never intended to begin with, you don't send them. And it's all about communication with them. And what we've talked about in our marriage today is it's all about communication with us and how you use these processing tools.
And this goes back to Emily's quote from the very beginning. We teach them to be inauthentic, where she said when she tries to do certain things, it makes her feel inauthentic. Well, if we keep trying to force our desires on our children, then all we do is teach them to squelch the thing that they're passionate about. And isn't it all about revealing what our gifts are so that we can love the strengths of our number and who we are?
Yep.
So I'm going to wrap up this episode because I think we're going close to 30 minutes here. But I have a great, wonderful friend named Samantha who happens to be a 7. And so I asked her what she loved about her number. And for this episode, I think it's perfect, because she said, I love that my friends know they can call me whenever they just want to let go and have fun. But I also love that I can find a silver lining in almost any situation. And Samantha's going to be on a podcast with me.
That's awesome.
I love her.
She's awesome. Yeah.
So thank you for joining us today. I hope that on this journey of your growth that you truly get to experience the joy of who you are by loving your own number. See you next time.
See you then.
Bye, babe.
Bye.